today is now the one that everyone's been waiting for, Thor: The Dark World.
You did that.
Came out the same year as Iron Man 3, second film in Phase 2. No, it's not. It's not very good.
No, I don't remember anything about it.
I'll preface it by saying I've seen this movie 3 times, and
3 too many.
This last time I watched it with you was the best of the times I've seen it, but it's still not good. This one I think just misses the mark on most things. Entertaining, funny, dialogue, characters, villains.
You sound so depressed.
Sense of adventure, sense of continuity within its own universe. Feeling like a fun superhero movie. I don't know. This is just a weird one because it's hard to really pin down exactly what's even wrong with it, other than it's just boring.
Yeah, they're boring.
It's just boring. And the first one, it's not like that one was a ball of excitement either.
No, it was not.
But this one is like significantly more boring. It's got a boring look to it even. Like the way it's shot and the way it's like the color of the film is just boring. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't. They go to the dark world and it's like ooh.
Where she's like waiting for him to come back and then he does. And then she goes somewhere.
They go to Asgard together.
No, before that she goes to this whatever. I don't know if she's sleeping, if she's what.
You talking about?
And then she's like infected and then he takes her with.
Yes, because she found...
I don't know what that area was, if that was like a dream or if that was a place, actually.
Well, she found the Aether. And the Aether got infected into her. It was like put inside her. So then he has to bring her to Asgard to get the Aether taken out of her. And the Aether is the reality stone. It's not really a stone at this point. It's just like a substance that exists. And that's why we have Stellar Skarsgård to come to explain it. Stellan Skarsgård, I call it Stellar, but you know, Stellan. I don't know. Point is, it's Bill who comes back from Mamma Mia, and he is in the movie naked for a majority of it because they keep.
That's so funny.
They keep cutting back to that foot. That's the thing. There's a lot in this movie where they're like, "Oh, this is funny," and it's like, it's not. Like, there's a lot of cat dennings in this one.
I'm not a fan.
And there is that whole scene with the British guy who his name escapes me, but he was in Bridesmaids, I believe. Now I don't even remember. But the guy Natalie Portman's having dinner with, and she has to abruptly leave him. That was funny.
Memorable.
Yeah, as you could tell.
Mm-hmm.
There is a notable death in this movie that is so memorable and sad. Do you remember who it was?
Dad.
Not the dad.
He fake dies in almost every one, doesn't he?
No.
Or not this one.
No,
he did in the first one, right?
He is just...
the mom died.
Correct. The mom actually dies.
But did not the dad...
The brother fake dies.
The brother?
And the brother takes the dad's place. And we don't know what happened to the dad.
Yeah, see?
Very riveting. Because it's not good. And it's not memorable. I mean, I saw this movie twice. And when I saw Thor: The Dark World, which I've seen numerous more times, way better movie.
The Dark World.
Oh, no, Ragnarok. Sorry. Whoa. No, Thor Ragnarok is better.
Yeah.
Way better. And I've seen it numerous times. You saw it in theaters when you hadn't seen any of the other movies, and it was late, so that doesn't count. You'll like that movie.
I'm not saying it's bad like these ones, but I'm still saying I'm probably not going to be like a fan.
Yeah, we'll see. I think if we watch it again, And it's because it's way more in tone with Guardians of the Galaxy, and you like Guardians of the Galaxy. I legitimately think it was because we just saw that movie way too late at night, and you were not ready to watch a movie, especially one where you kind of need to see the other movies.
Did we see that one and the Blade Runner because, like, close together, or did they not come out the same year? Because
no, they did, and it was kind of the same,
like, back to back. I fell asleep to both of those.
Right. I think we just were seeing it way too late.
It's not a common thing. I don't fall asleep in the theater very often. Those two I did.
Yeah, so I like Ragnarok way better, but even watching that movie, I had seen The Dark World twice, and I still couldn't remember key moments from the movie that was necessary for Ragnarok's portions at the beginning, like with Loki being revealed as like, oh, he took the father's place this whole time and he moved his father somewhere. Because I thought the same thing while watching that movie. I was like, didn't the dad die in the last movie? And I was like, no, it's the mom. And it's because the mom doesn't really have a part in the first one, and in this one not really too much either. And what's funny is this comes back. This whole subplot with the mother and the father and Thor, mother and Thor, that all comes back in a different movie later. And
not the Thor one.
Not in Thor Ragnarok, but it comes back in a different movie, and it's actually done better, and it actually makes it more interesting and actually moving. And it still doesn't work too well, just because I argue that you don't really know. You don't know the character well enough, but it's still done better in a different movie. And I just think it's so funny that of all the subplots of all the movies,
are we from that?
Oh, very far away. Oh. But the point is that
so it's the last one.
It's the last one. There's a big subplot in that movie that involves Thor: The Dark World for I don't know what reason. I don't know why they chose it.
It's iconic.
I guess the same writers who did this movie also did Captain America: The Winter Soldier and the final two Avengers movies. So it's like this one, I don't think it was like really the fault of really anyone. I think it was just like the fact that we were trying to make something similar to the first movie, but we were also trying to, as the title says, make it darker. But it doesn't work because it's not interesting.
Even Natalie Portman, like, I don't really care about.
Yeah, she doesn't really have much going on.
You see quite a bit of her in the first one, and I'm still like...
Because she doesn't necessarily have a big part in this movie, because she doesn't really have to.
But I mean, we know her more than the mom, but I still don't...
care?
No.
Yeah, and I think it's disappointing that, like, oh, Loki's in the movie, and one of the big selling points in the trailer was that he was going to be teaming up with Thor, and he does, but there's not even a lot of payoff there, because I think, and I said this when we watched the first movie, I didn't think Tom Hiddleston was that great of an actor in the first movie. I thought he was great in Avengers, and he's still, like, good in this movie. I think he's at his best in Ragnarok. I mean, I can keep praising that movie, but, like, the point is...
This is just a review of that movie.
Well, I mean, the point is that he's still better in this movie than the first one, but there's not really, like, a lot for him to do now, because he's not the villain, and he's not really being, like, himself, because it's like there's not really much for him to do, because a lot of these characters already had their shining moments in other movies. And the only one that should be getting their shining moment is the mother, because you are going to kill her off. But there's not anything for her to do. No. So it's just weird. There's like a whole bunch of just not really much for anyone to do. And then we haven't even gotten to the villains yet, who are the Dark Elves. I don't know. And there's like a thing at the beginning that explains the Dark Elves and what their relation to Asgard was and everything, but I don't care. Like, it's one of those things where I don't really know how to pin down exactly why I think it's boring or I don't care. It's just it's not interesting. It's just not. And there's other movies. We have 23 movies to look at where we have all these other movies that have done it better. And this one, for a lot of people, is the worst one, and it kind of makes sense.
Why is it? Is it just because the first Thor is not good either? Is it the characters? Is it the plot? Is it what?
I think Thor and Thor the Dark World, but more so Thor, were trying to be a kind of movie that it shouldn't have been trying to be. Now, with Thor Ragnarok, it became more goofy in tone, much more like a lot of people say Guardians of the Galaxy. And if you start watching Taika Waititi's work, you start realizing, no, this is just Taika Waititi, and it's him doing what he wants to do. There are people that would argue that that's not the direction that Thor should have gone in either. But my opinion, though, is that even if you say that, the way that they went with these first two movies, I don't think works for a superhero movie. I just don't think it works too well, because
it's its own kind of like mythology type thing.
Yeah, I think it's trying to be like classic mythology movies, you know. It just doesn't have its own identity because it feels so similar to other things.
It was probably, I just stuttered so bad. It was probably just trying to find like a mix of like superheroes and mythology, and like how do we mix them both good, like do them both right.
Right. And you know, the first movie had Kenneth Branagh do it, who did a lot of Shakespeare work, and I feel like that's one of the things they were maybe going for with it too, was that they wanted to be more Shakespearean in nature with the dialogue, with the characters. And it's like, and I think the original goal of the first few movies was that we were trying to make movies that are different from one another but can come together for one universe. And they succeeded for the most part. They're more successful with it now, but they realized with the later movies is that you have to have similar tones in some of the movies. And all the movies have to have a similar tone to one another in order to all fit together. But you can do different things with each movie. The first few didn't do that as much. They just tried to be like different from one another and then put them together. And it was only really successful with Iron Man and Captain America. And then Thor, the character kind of fit in, but we even said during Avengers that we didn't really think he fit in too well with the first movie. And with that film, the first one, yeah, I do feel that it's more Shakespearean, but I don't think that should be a superhero movie, because that's just like different. That's not the... You can do that as like an experiment on your own for a different movie, but when you're doing the cinematic universe, it's kind of hard to do that and then try to incorporate it. Now, with Thor the Dark World, they kind of abandoned the whole Shakespeare mythology aspect of it and tried to make it more like a typical superhero movie, but then the thing is that they made it a little generic. They made it like a generic, superhero movie.
But boring.
Watching it, it just kind of feels like, I don't know, like, Zack Snyder made a bunch of DC superhero movies, and that's what this feels like. It feels like low budget Zack Snyder, because it's trying to be a little more visual. He did Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Watchmen. He's very visual in style, and I feel like this one is trying to be a little more visual than the first movie, but it's like darker visuals, and the visuals don't work because it's like they're just not, you're not as good at it as other directors are, or other creators are, or other people are, because it's like, I don't know, it's just not, it doesn't work, and
it's just boring.
Right. So I don't really have anything else to say about this one.
10 out of 10 would not recommend.
I give it a 5 out of 10. And it's
really?
because
That's high.
It's higher than what I had given it before. I think I usually give it 4 out of 10, but
I would give it 3.
That's fine.
4. I don't know.
No, you can go lower with it. A lot of people say this is like the worst one. I think it is the worst one. But I don't. Like I said, there were things I liked a little more about it this time, but it's not like anything I can necessarily point out. It's just stuff that it didn't feel as long as last time. It doesn't feel like a long movie anymore.
Felt long to me.
And
all of them feel long, even if I enjoy it. They're long movies.
They can be. This one, this last time watching it through, though, I was like, I don't hate it as much, but it's still not.
I don't hate it, but it's not good.
it's just not very inventive. It's not very new. It doesn't feel special, and it doesn't really have any of the excitement that the other movies have. So that's why I give it a lower score, but it's not like an awful movie. It just doesn't work. It's not like a movie that maybe if it wasn't part of the cinematic universe, people would go see and be like, hey, that's kind of a fun, generic, but, you know, take fun out of the equation, so I guess just generic superhero movie. But maybe people would like it outside the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think when you just compare it to all those other movies, it's like, yeah, there's a big difference.
Yeah.
So... next time we'll be talking about Captain America the Winter Soldier for our Marvel films, but right now we are going to go into Sweet Home Alabama.
That we probably said last time and we were wrong.
I think we said at the end of our Just My Luck episode. I think you said at the end we were going to do Sweet Home Alabama. And either I cut it out of the video or I didn't, but I think I kept it in. And then we didn't do Sweet Home Alabama. We did 3 Men and a Baby. But now we're going to do Sweet Home Alabama. So, Sweet Home Alabama! We'll get into it next. Thanks for sticking with us and watching. Thanks for watching the video, and special shout out to Anthony, Anna, Kirsten, Lucas, Ryan, and Robert for the support on Patreon. By joining my Patreon, you can get exclusive videos and blogs, and for only $7, you can request your own movie review. I hope you stick around, cinephile, and have a happy, productive day.